All right, folks, let me say a special good evening to all those of you already locked on my live this afternoon. That is a thing I decide to do with us every Saturday from 6 o'clock. And yes, it is 6 o'clock. And I am a man, I always learn how to stick to time because I don't know what you have to do with your time. So I normally like to stick to time. So thank you very much, folks, for all of you already glued on to this live this afternoon. It will be just for about 45 minutes, thereabout. It's always a pleasure serving you, the people of Dominica, whether you are in this blessed land, Whitey Kubuli, or first Kalinago people call this land, or whether you are somewhere out there in the big wide globe. Always a pleasure. Once you're Dominican, it's always a pleasure serving you. This afternoon, folks, we're going to have a very candid discussion about something that is very dear to Dominicans. But before we go into that, one thing that is very dear to Dominicans and needs some action in that regard, we just have some other little bits and pieces that I need to touch upon with us as we move along into that just about 45 minutes presentation. For those of you who don't know what you are viewing or what you're viewing now, in the foreground of my lens, it's a very, very beautiful scene, I must say. And yes, that is your Dominica, that is my Dominica, and that is the Dominica we are trying our very, very best to preserve in Dominica. You may be wondering, but where is that? That is in the heights of Warner. I'm in the heights of Warner. If you look, there's a ridge just before the lens, like close up. That is the Warner Ridge, basically going through the Belfast area below. If you look, there's a ridge at the back of that ridge. It's a little further back. And then even in the far foreground, there's even another ridge as well. So yes, we are looking at three beautiful mountains here this afternoon. And as I said, that is in the heights of Warner. So that is where I'll be bringing you that information this afternoon. I love nature. Nature is part of me. And I love just doing everything with nature in mind. And it is a very, very beautiful scenery out here in the heights of Warner. Before I just start, let me say thank you very much to my brother Earl Bruno. I passed him on the way up. He was doing his life as well, keeping the fire burning in his way. And we all have to play our part to keep Dominica how it is. But even more importantly, try to make Dominica a much, much better place. I also want to touch on my brother Siri in the Bagatelle area. That is a brother. He's a very formidable guy as well. He always keeps the fire burning in his neck of the wood as well. So brother Siri, continue to do the very, very good work that you are doing for your people up there in the Petit Savan constituency, my brother. I must applaud your effort. And all of us just continue to do the very good work one way or the other. However you are doing it for and on behalf of your country. I see a number of persons already hook up on the live. I know you are. Once you are part of that live, you are in one way, some way, contributing to your country's development and furtherance. So I want to thank you very much for that. Before we get into the meat of things this afternoon, the topic this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, will be an unfolding scandal that I call it. And of a $64,000 rent and counting, where the person who is in the seat of the Prime Minister in Dominica, that is how I like to refer to that man. I don't like to refer to Roosevelt Skerrit as the Prime Minister. The world knows Roosevelt Skerrit is not a legitimate Prime Minister. This guy and his cronies, they have stole election for the past 3 consecutive elections. And what you saw, what we saw in 2019, that was just maybe 8-9 months gone back there. It was the perfecting of the art of rigging. For those of you who don't know the meaning of rigging, it is stealing. And they have perfected the art so well of stealing elections that last election, the 2019, that is the 6th of December, they basically stole that election in a wholesale manner. They had all their stuff put in place, I am being told reliably, that is 2.5 years before. Can you imagine that, folks? Can you imagine a government, or what passes for governance or government, would have been putting things in place 2.5 years prior to the date of an election to ensure that they stole it in a wholesale manner? Can you imagine that? So government and governance is no longer you do your good works, and at the end of the cycle, the electoral cycle, that is, your people, or the people that are being governed, would consciously put an X or put a cross, however you want to call it, by your candidate, by their candidate of choice, and then a government would be formed as a result of that. But this government, or what passes for government, they stole it in very, very wholesale manner last election, folks. And I have no apology for saying that. They know that better than me. And so I will keep saying that until the cows or the sheep or whatever it is come home to roost. They know that. And I have no fear in saying that. This government that is in Dominica today, I want the world to know, they stole the election in a wholesale manner. And this farce, this make-believe about observers were here and the observers say the elections were free and fair, that is just a farce, folks. That is just pulling wool over your eye now. Because like in all countries that where dictatorship is taking root, that is how these governments behave. That is how they behave. They rig the elections, and at the end of the cycles, they proclaim to the world that they have won election by 70-something% majority vote, 80% majority vote, 90% majority vote. But we know for a fact that these leaders around the world who have these dictatorial tendencies, they steal the elections. We have Venezuela, our backdoor neighbor, right there. We have Gaddafi in Libya. We have had, what's his name, Saddam in Iraq. Mussolini, Idi Amin. And the list goes on and on and on. Hitler in Germany, all these guys, we have seen them at play already. And that's what they do very, very well, is to steal elections, and then they tell the people and the world that they won their elections. But if, folks, if a people, and I'm saying here, the majority of people in your country, they do not want you, and they say it in no uncertain terms, and these people are in the majority, some of those who are not speaking aloud like me and others, they are afraid of victimization. They are afraid of the vilification. They are afraid of the bastardization of them and their relatives and their loved ones. They're afraid of losing their jobs. They're afraid of losing what is dear to them. And so they choose not to say anything. But that doesn't mean, folks, that their conscience is not telling them that the country in which they're living is not right. Something about it is not right. Yes, folks, I want you guys to like the live first of all and share it. Because most of you on that live with me this afternoon, you don't even need to hear the information that I'm dispensing this afternoon. Because I know you love your country. It is for your friends, for your persons in your life that may not be for Dominica, and they are supporting this rogue regime. These are the people that I want the message to penetrate your soul. And I hope and pray that that penetration will yield a certain level of recourse in terms of an alternate action on their part. So that is the people, I really, really want to get that message, folks. Those are the people. So please share the live, I am asking. Before we get into the meat of things, again, I said it publicly already, but I just want to use this platform to congratulate the lawyers who came out last week and took a very bold stand, the 9 of them so far, and I'm hearing from the grapevines that more want to come out, but again, it speaks to the situation that I said before. Some of them are scared. But the 9 of them who came out so far and publicly vowed to take a stance for their country, I applaud them very, very highly. All right, folks? There is also an injustice that is continuing, folks, and that is in the so-called housing program of this rogue regime. A lot of people, Dominicans, a lot of people, those who deserve these houses, they are not the recipients of these houses. They are not. It is those who feather up. It is those who sing from the choir of this regime and their close associates that are the beneficiaries of those houses. It is those who will put on a red shirt and say, Massa, yes, Massa, or no, Massa. These are the people, folks, that will get these houses. So again, even in their way of trying to develop the country, I heard Mr. Ostry said this morning, the housing minister, I heard him said the housing ministry is buoyant, it is booming. But even with a project that they say that is booming, there is still that level of injustice that goes on. And I'm aware of it, and a number of persons in Dominica are aware of it. A number of folks are suffering inside because they choose not to sell their souls to this government. And so they are being persecuted on a daily basis as it relates to housing. Can you imagine single mothers now, after Hurricane Maria, some of them with a number of children, young children at that, will not be a recipient of a house? Can you imagine fathers who don't have wives or girlfriends in their lives? Some of them have the children of them. And because they choose not to suck up to this government, they are bypassed. And that goes on a daily basis in Dominica, folks. That goes on a daily basis. So even with the activities that the government say that they are doing to help Dominicans, even that too, they are persecuting people just for their political affiliation, just for because they perceive these people are not supporting or not singing or not be prepared to drink from the labor saucer. That is what is going on, folks, in Dominica. But that is for another program. That is for another chit-chat on a Saturday. I just give you a little icing on that cake this afternoon, because I have a letter in my possession from one of these recipients who was turned down as a result of, and I am saying now, because it is perceived by the powers that be she's not supporting the government in power. But we will get to that in another chit-chat session. Also to folks, there is a situation, and I am now getting to the meat of my discussion now, because night falls very quickly. So I have to get to it, and I say 45 minutes, so I want to keep it there in that frame. Okay. This $64,000 rent, folks, that is where we're going to focus on this afternoon. This $64,000 bogus rent that Roosevelt Skerrit is asking me, and yes, you watching the live this afternoon, help him or wants him to pay this afternoon. It is a bogus one. And I say bogus one in that it is being rumored on the ground. It is being alleged on the ground. And I will use that word for now, because I know how this regime, they like to, how you call it, crucify the messenger. I have been a victim of that already. So I'll use the word alleged for now. But this $64,000, folks, it is alleged. A lot of persons are saying it on the ground in Dominica, that the mansion in Mont Daniel, persons are saying they believe it is Roosevelt Skerrit's mansion. And so that foolishness about asking persons to pay or help him pay via our taxes, it is a bogus call. It is a way again of deceiving the people. Yes, it is a way of deceiving the people. Folks, I have spoken to a number of persons on the ground in Dominica who worked at that mansion. Yes, they did. The electricians, the plumbers, the persons who pull the cupboards in place, the joiners, the persons who assembled the building together, the decorators, a number of persons. And they keep telling me from foundation, there was one constant denominator making wrongs around that building. Those of you who are mathematicians, you will know what a common denominator is. When the guys wrapped up their work sometimes on a Friday, they would retire. And they would be waiting for their little brown paper bag, their little brown envelope, or their white envelope, because it used to fluctuate sometimes. Whoever's putting the cash together in those envelopes, they were not constant. That is how detailed information that I'm getting. Sometimes it used to come in the white envelopes, sometimes it used to come in the brown envelopes. That is the salary for these workers. Sometimes they had to wait because those salaries did not reach on time sometimes. And they would go to the supervisor on site, some of them. You know, like when you work construction, you finish work, you free up, you say, guys, supervisor, what's up? Well, this supervisor would tell them, and mark me, the supervisor wasn't a national. He wasn't a Dominican national. He was a foreigner. That is what I know as well. The supervisor would tell these folks, the money haven't reached as yet. And within maybe half an hour, 25 minutes, 20 minutes sometime, voila, the monies that they were asking for would show up. And who Who, folks, would you imagine would be showing up with those pay packets? I see somebody mark pay packets a while ago, so I'll use that phrase. Who would you think would be showing up with those pay packets, folks? The common denominator. Yes, the common denominator would be showing up. Folks, you remember the buildings in Savanpai, the lilac painted buildings in Savanpai. Who were showing up at those buildings? That is the trend. That is the trend, folks. That is the trend. So that common denominator, it does seems he learning. Because persons know clearly well who was showing up at Savanpai, looking at those buildings from foundation. And now I'm hearing these buildings are sold. But that I will have to do some more investigation to find out more details about that. It's the same common denominator, folks. And so this common denominator keep doing the same thing over and over and over. How can you publicly say on national radio you took 1 point something billion with a B dollars and you put it somewhere else than the consolidated fund where those funds are rightly supposed to be? You have it in the control of somebody or somebody's else out there. And one of those body I am hearing bought a parcel of land from the common denominator as well at Trafalgar. Is that not conflict of interest? How can you have in someone's possession that kind of money, saying is housing program? Yes, brother. Good afternoon. Saying is housing program. And that same person is buying a portion of land in your name at Trafalgar. Dominicans, our country needs us now. Our country needs us, folks. Our country needs us. Now, let's get down to business. It's getting off time. Let me just quench the first a little bit. See this document I have in mind there, folks? See this document? See this document? This document, okay? My little scribble and writing I put on this side there, I just took some notes on there. But this document, okay? I will explain to you what that document represents in a while. This document, folks, is a document of the salary, the rate at which some of our civil servants are being paid in Dominica. And that set of civil servants are the nurses in Dominica. This document goes all the way back to 1993, 1994. I hope you can see it right there. Okay? 1993, 1994. And it expires on 17/18. Okay? Good. So that is the years in question I have there. As to the monies that persons in the health sector, and I can spell it out to you here. I can read it out to you. It says position. Okay? Position. Look. Position. All right? Positions. And with the position, there comes a category. Okay? The positions in the health department. You have the matron, that is the person who runs the hospital as the manager. You have the principal nursing officer. You have the family nurse practitioner. You have the community health nurses. These are the categories, the line of work. You have the nurse practitioner, nurse assistant practitioner, departmental nurse, or they call them a sister on the ward, the clinical nurse practitioner. You have the ward sister. You have staff nurse as well. You also have the district midwives. And I'm being told that the district midwives play a very critical role in the communities by someone who knows the system. The district nurse. You also have the primary care nurse. You also have in that category as well, nursing assistant. Good. Now, all these portfolios that I mentioned there, all these areas of work, all these titles I mentioned there, they are in a scale, meaning the matron is not expected to get the same pay rate as, for example, a ward sister. No, that would be madness. So it is categorized on that form right here in levels. Time will not permit me, folks, to do a deeper analysis of things here. But I just want us to focus our attention this afternoon to a category of workers in the healthcare system that are rated from scale 19 to scale 12. Now, when I say scale 19 to 12, I mean G, for example, G would be representing or would be representative of the matron. So anywhere you see G on that form, it represents the matron rate or anybody occupying that office. F would be representing the principal nursing officer. Then they come down 4 to 2. 4-2 would be representative of the senior community health nurse. And so it comes down the bracket. What I want to zero in on this afternoon, folks, before time falls down on us in terms of night, it is that rate. And if you notice, I highlighted there the rate from 19 to 12. Let me get that focus so you can see properly. Okay? 19 to 12 represents the staff nurse, okay, the district midwives, and the district nurses. If you can see, 19 to 12, 3 categories right there. Good. Now, these people, these health workers are so instrumental to our healthcare system. When they come into this system, meaning when they graduate and they are part and parcel of the system, they start at a wage of $2,320. Okay, that's their starting salary. $2,320. Now, after every year, they're supposed to get an increment after they're evaluated. That raise, that pay, sorry, $2,320, supposed to be going up in an incremental fashion. Now, those folks who are between that range, that 19 to 12 scale range, their pay can only reach a total in terms of where that scale, now remember we're dealing with the scale, $3,214. That is the highest amount of money. You're saying the paper is upside down. Okay, thank you. I noted that, but maybe it's the way I was holding it. I guess I have to turn the camera so you can see it, but the how you call it, the night is falling, so I have to hurry on. But thanks for that observation. Let's go back. When they start in the system, they start off with a rate of $2,320. After 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 7 or 8 years in the system, they should reach a pay rate or pay a salary of $3,214. So you're looking at about roughly about $1,001 in terms of the increase that they will get as they move up the ladder. Okay, good. Now, why I choose to bring that to us this afternoon? You remember all the praises that was showered on the nurses, folks, and the healthcare system and the healthcare personnel during COVID-19, and we're still going through COVID-19. You remember all the praise that came down on these people? Oh, you're doing a good job and this and that and that and that. Fine. We all compliment them. But here it is, folks. Someone who is in that system and at that scale, they are not a matron, they're not principal nursing tutor, they are just within the free brackets that I mentioned earlier. Their salary can go up no more than $3,214. Now that is somebody that is in the system for more than 7 years and counting. Now let us do some maths there, folks, because we want to juxtapose that now against the bogus rent that these folks are being asked to help pay for through their taxes from those dollars. The lowest scale there, as I said, is 2,320 in the graduate and the in the system. If you take what this guy who is sitting in the Prime Minister's chair today is asking these people to help pay $64,000 and change. Folks, when I divide, that's why I put the little scribble notes on my side, on the side. When I divide $64,000 into $2,320, those of you who are smarter than me, those of you who are mathematicians, you do the maths. But my calculator gave me, folks, $2,320 will go 27 times into 64,000. What does that say in terms of the asking on the ground? Somebody who just comes into the system and is getting a salary of that magnitude, what that is saying, that person would have to work for 27.5 months. Just call it 28 months, folks, in order to see, or I don't want to say see because they're really not seeing that money, or in order to realize that they got from the system $64,000. Can you imagine that? I want it to sink in. That is why I'm pausing. I really want it to sink in. So somebody getting a pay wage in Dominica of $2,320, they would have to work for 28 months thereabout to realize $64,000. And you know what 28 months represent, folks, in terms of days and months and years? It represents 2 years plus. Two years and counting. So somebody would have to work in the system 2 2 years plus to realize from the system $64,000, folks. Can you imagine that? And one man is asking for us to pay through the treasury for him to live in a house that a lot of persons are saying is his house only 1 month. So Roosevelt Skerrit is picking up $64,000 a month. When you working in the hospitals, you have to turn people, you have to bathe them, you have to pamper them, you have to write their records, you have to do whatever you have to do for 2 years plus for you to realize a $64,000 from the system. And if that is not sinking in, folks, I don't know what will. But let's hurry on. Time is moving on. Let us take now the higher bracket that I spoke about in that scale from 19 to 12, that range. Let us take it there. Somebody drawing $3,214. That is the maximum a nurse can reach in that bracket. In that bracket. Remember, I'm saying in the bracket because nurses can get more than that. But I'm talking about a specific bracket. $3,214. I throw that into 64,000 now. And I got 19.9 months that person would have to work for. You know what 19.9 months translate to, Dominicans? It translates to just about 1.5 years. Because a year and a half is 18 months. So I got 19.9. Let's call it 20 months. So you have to work more than a year and a half as a person drawing $3,214 in our system for you to realize a well, not a salary. I don't want to say a salary, but a taking from the treasury for your hard work. Mark you, for your hard work of $64,000. And you have one man asking you, who have to work a year and a half plus, to help him pay a place to live in for 1 month, $64,000. And I am not, for this exercise, folks, I'm just sticking to basic maths. I am not going down to the year and to, no, I don't want it combobulated too much. I don't want it convoluted too much. I don't want it all over the place. We're just sticking it 1 month. And that is what I want us to get in our cranium this afternoon. That is what I need the persons who are supporting this rogue regime to get in their cranium, in their skull. If that is not an injustice where we are right now amidst this COVID-19, folks, I don't know what is or what will. I told you, folks, night is falling very, very quick. So I may just have to move into my vehicle where I can put some light on my face to finish up. I may just have to do that. That is where we are at, folks. That is the reality of our situation in Dominica. So when persons are decrying that $64,000 rent as an injustice on the backs of Dominicans, we know what we are talking about. There's an old saying that goes is he or she that is in the kitchen that is feeling the heat. And the Dominican people, especially the working class, these people are the ones feeling the heat of that injustice. Yes, we are feeling the heat of that injustice. And so that is why we continue to stand in the gap for our country. Roosevelt Skerrit traveled the world and he see his princes, his kings, those of whom he dined with, live in those palatial mansions. So obviously, he want to adopt their lifestyle. So when they come to him in Dominica through their diplomatic passports or otherwise, he can also return their favor by letting them walk up some steps that are twirling and swirling and have golden trimmings thereon. And that is what we are saying is not right in Dominica, folks. It cannot be right. It cannot be right. And so I really zeroed in on the nurses this afternoon. But I know a lot of other persons in the service in Dominica. They are in the same pay range or even lower than the nurses. We're talking about the policemen, the teachers, you know, the persons who work in the different departments. A lot of you folks, you are crying. And so, I am only the messenger. I can only give you what I know is an injustice. It is you and I to decide to do something about it, folks. That is it. That is it, folks. What is my time saying there? Let me just check my time. I said it's a 45 minutes. Oh yeah, we have like 3 more minutes. 3 more minutes. So I think we're in good time for a wrap up. So folks, I just want to plug that onto your consciences this afternoon and let it sink in as an injustice, an ongoing injustice that is happening to us in Dominica. That is what it is. I cannot call it anything else. You know the amount of people that are still at the minimum wage in Dominica, folks? At $6 and $5 and all. That is joke, that is pittance. And these same people, when they go to the shops to buy a pound of flour, a pound of sugar, mosolamo, wheat, awanson, back and neck, their taxes that they pay on this meager salary have to help this man sleep and dine in a house of $64,000 a month, folks. And that is our reality in Dominica. And if we are not prepared to do something about that, then as the old saying goes, crap will smoke our pipe. But I pray to God that when the history of this country will be written, there will be some of us in that book as protectors of this country. I hope and pray. I really hope and pray, folks. So let us continue to do what we have been doing. Those of who have been doing, let us continue to do in the interest of our country. Those of us who have not been doing, let us get it. Let us start somewhere, folks. We should not never cower. We should not never throw in the towel where our country is concerned. And that is what a dictatorship thrives on, is when persons, quote unquote, give up the ghost, as it were. They just say, you know something, that is it. I cannot fight the system. I cannot do nothing. That is it. That is what dictatorship thrives on. And I always thought in growing up, Dominica would not be in that predicament it is today. I always thought we had it caught and made for us in Dominica, where governance, proper governance was concerned. But with the issuance of this Dominica Labour Party in 2000 and the hijacking of that Labour Party in 2004, primarily by Roosevelt and co., then, my friends, we have a lot of work to do in Dominica. And so let us keep hope alive. Let us never become daunted Let us never lose hope of our country, Dominica. Where it could be, we need to do that, folks. Let us continue to press on. Let us continue to do what we have to do in our country, Dominica. Folks, I said 6:45. I want to keep it to 6:45. And so that is where I must retire. But I want to thank you for your listening. And I want to thank you for taking time off every Saturday from now on to tune into my live as I try my very best as an ordinary citizen to bring you the information that you so deserve to make the right decision, folks. All right? So normally I just like to touch on my folks who are on the live with me, keeping me company before I go. So I'll be doing just that now before I wind up. All right? Lots of you here, but I'll try to go through a few. Julie Polidor, I see you there. Thank you very much for tuning in. Kerry Lockhart Savage, good evening to you as well. Usila James, a company, thank you very much, Usila. Kenneth John, you're watching, good evening to you. Kelly Core, you're right there, good evening to you. Shala, was that Prescott, good evening as well. Julie Polidor again, you're right there. Aura Burton, you're always there. Thank you, Aura, for your steadfastness. Mary Jo, thank you. Yakima, good evening to you, my friend. Thank you very much. Yakima, one of my favorite Calypsonians. Time gone by. You need to come with a tune, Yakima, as to what is happening. I know you are way out there, but please feel free to send us a line or two. Ramas Carter, good evening to you. Ronald Toulon, always there. Good evening to you, brother. Charlene, Sudin Williams, that is a very patriotic sister as well. When she speaks from her heart. Thank you for service to country as well, Miss Williams. Kishna, Daniela, good evening to you. Norma Ito, you are there with us as well. Thank you very, very much. I've been just trying to Myrtle, Lucian, you're there. Kishma, Daniela, I called you already. Always there. My brother Marvin Sheldon, that is Mr. Bolan. Always there, my brother. Thanks for the support. Thanks for keeping your eye on your country, Dominica. Mr. Julian James, good evening to you. Yusika Isles, you're there as well. Marijo, I called you already. Aline, Leonard Mann, good evening to you. Jillian Macau, always there, thank you. Sandra Luke, you are there as well. Sherlon Giss, thank you very much. Folks, let me just run through the top of the list. I apologize for those of you I had to skip, but you know, time is running out and I really have to go. Kishna, Amanda Shillingford, Charlene again, you know, and all of you folks always keep me company each and every Saturday afternoon from 6 o'clock. Carol, very, very favorite listener as well. Good afternoon to you. Carol Bruni. Alex Tita, I see you there. Kenneth John. Dorita Ferrara, good afternoon. Carla Guy, keep the fire burning, Carla. Teresa Gabriel, you're listening as well. Vesey Jones, and all the other good folks, thank you very much. I have to go now. Keep the fire burning. As I said, let us keep our country in our prayers, our hearts, but even more importantly, let us do something for and on behalf of our lovely country, Dominica. Next week, same time, same place, from 6 o'clock, we'll have another topic of national interest. Thank you very much, folks. I gone now. Bye-bye. I love you.